Welcome back. Day 2, LA. Jack, amazing, long-ass day yesterday. Then we get to start today with, one of the most clutch players in the history of the NBA. Got a lot of different nicknames. All I care about is the 7 rings.
Right.
Welcome to the show, Robert Horry.
Thank you, my
We
brother.
appreciate you, man.
Big
Thank
bro.
you.
Thanks.
I feel like this interview is going to have to cut the line, so we're going to drop this the first day of the finals since we're talking to someone who was 7-0 in the finals. What is that, when you think about the hierarchy and rings and ring talk, you were someone who has 7 first and foremost, but you're also 7-0 in those situations. What comes to mind now you have a chance to sit back and look at stuff like that?
And first of all, I just say I was blessed to play with a lot of great fucking talent. You think about it. One of the best big men ever. I started my career out, and it was Akeem Olajuwon. And for me, coming out of college, you look at all the teams. Most guys were like, I just want to get in the NBA. I was like, where do I want to fit in where I can win a championship? And I was so fortunate to go to Houston because that's exactly what they needed, a small forward. And then to play alongside Dream and Vernon Maxwell, 2 of the greatest competitors that play the game, was a great learning experience for me. So I look at that, and then, all the other teams I played for, the one common denominator was great big men. Think about Shaq, Tim Duncan. And if you say right now, name the top 5 big men, I played with 3 of them.
Yeah. Who's who? You play with 3 of them?
Well, Dream's number 1 by far.
Okay.
We don't like to talk. Nobody wants to talk, but I think you have these guys who are quiet. Think about it. Dream, he's a really quiet guy. You can't get him to do much, to say much. So we kind of veer away from him. We don't talk about him. But to me, if you look at what he put together, Defensive Player of the Year, MVP in 1 season, all-time leading shot blocker, those things that you look at his history and what he's done for the game and how he started the game. This dude didn't play basketball growing up. Went to U of H where you think about it, we all went to college where they're going to teach you. U of H, they just rolled the ball out there and he went to work. And so I think what his body of work was just incredible. And he's just a good dude too, man. That's what you have to think about, a good dude.
And people don't understand, you played with all of them, so your opinion is valid. You've been on the court with all of them. Yeah, won with all of them. So you gotta respect that.
That's dope. Fatherhood. You recently got kicked out of a game, joined the club for cussing at a ref.
I didn't curse.
You didn't?
I didn't. That's the craziest thing. I said, yo, ref, you suck, man.
Okay.
I said, call the blocking call. And
you should have cussed. If they gonna throw you out for suck, you should have cussed.
And that's the crazy part. People he went to the cop, and the cop was like, what did you want me to do? That's not my job.
Right.
And then he went to the AD at the school.
So
and
stop the game.
Yeah, and he got mad. I said, oh, you mad at me because I say you suck? I said, well, good job. And he tossed me out of the game.
Really?
And so the AD was outside talking to me. He says, I apologize. I said, can I have my money back?
Right.
He was like, I can't do that. I said, well, next game I come to is free.
Right.
And he says, okay, we'll do that. Yeah, but I love watching my son play in high school, man. You know how it is when you can watch your kids and watch them try to follow their own path, their own dream. They won state championships, so it was a great run. For me, I was so mad that I missed the game to go to state champs because they played Corona Centennial. And everybody knows how good Corona Centennial is. But I said we because I'm a part of the Harvard Westlake family. We step up in there and beat them by 20 in their building. That lets you know destiny was in their path.
Where does fatherhood, but also giving your son game, how do you balance that line?
I have a great son. He comes to me for advice.
Okay.
Sometimes dads want to come out and say, oh, you're going to do this, this, and this. I'm like, yo, just sit down, let's talk. What do you think you need to work on? Where did you mess up in this game? And he's like, okay, Dad, I fucked up because I didn't shoot this ball, I didn't shoot that ball. He said, I should have did this. And he says, oh, tell me how I should have gotten. And I show him little tweaks because my son's a very intelligent player. You got to go to Harvard Westlake. And so I just tweak a little things here and now. But I also think that the people I put him in the path with have helped him along with. Like I did guy like Zach now. I know Zach that trains Reeves has started working on my son because I say, yo, I can't talk about dribbling. That wasn't what I was good at, but I can tell you footwork and how to shoot it. And so, you have to pass it along. So that's one thing that I've learned about father. We all don't know everything, so don't be afraid to step outside the box and ask somebody for help.
I'll be the first one to send these motherfuckers somewhere else. Same thing. We're going to do it together.
Yeah.
Need some help.
Andalusia, Alabama. That's how you say it.
Andalusia. Are you from Spain? It's Andalusia.
Andalusia.
Yeah. So yeah.
Talk about growing up in South Alabama.
Man, it was hard. I know a lot of people talk about how racist was and how racism is. You don't know racism until you get to Alabama in the South, where there's certain streets we couldn't walk down. Even growing up, I was one of the best baseball players in my city, and I don't make an all-star team because there was a situation where a ball rose to right in front of the coach, and I said, "Throw the ball back." He said, "Boy, you come get this ball," and I was like, "Shit!" And I stood on first base. And I don't make all-star that day. And it was and it's just crazy. And then what they fail to realize is, back then is, if the team that wins it, which was our team, we won it every year, it was all black, had 3 white kids on our team, and the 2 white kids that were on our team was brothers, and they were the richest white kids in town because their dad was a doctor. And so now we playing this game, we had to play an all-star game, and I don't make the all-star team. I told my coach, I'm pitching today. We beat them mugs 32-3. And this is their all-star team. And so from that moment on, they canceled that moment because they knew they were wrong. They knew they fucked up. And then when I went on, it just is one of those little things. Even like our cheerleaders, we were only allowed 3 black cheerleaders on our team, and one of them was the coach's daughter, so they had to make that exception. So it was little things like that, but it made you stronger, it made you smarter, it made you be aware of your surroundings. It's one of the things that, like, my wife laughs at me about now, because when I go places, I'm always looking. And I'm like, there's only like 1 black person in this restaurant. She said, "Why do you always know that?" I said, "Because some shit go down, me and him gonna link up." That's just how it is. And so, and she's like, "Why you?" I said, "Well, because when you grow up in Alabama, you got to be very careful in the restaurants you go to, because people just start eyeballing you. And then next thing you know, fights break out, and you're going to get blamed for it, but you got to make sure you get about that bitch alive and make sure you got someone to have your back."
Man.
Yeah. So when did hoop come into play? And then there's 2 questions. When did hoop come into play? And was there any NBA players you looked up to?
Man, my brother got me into hoop. My brother was the 2nd best player in the state of Alabama behind Chuck Person. But he did not want to play. He did not want to play basketball. And so he's the one that got me into it. And then growing up, South Alabama, and you live in your mother, your aunt, your brother, your grandma, your grandfather in one house, and you got one TV. My grandfather, when he wanted to watch TV, we watched what he wanted to watch. Yeah. And that was going to be...
The Westerns?
It was wrestling. That's all he watched. And then my grandmother watched stories. So that's how I became a Days of Our Lives fan, because when I come home, I had to watch what she wanted to watch. But for that, though, it was just, it was great growing up. I grew up a Magic Johnson fan. I love Magic. I used to, have a Magic Johnson poster in my room in college. And then I kind of became a Scottie Pippen fan, because as you grow and you learn your game, you try to pick out players that are similar to your build. And so I said, okay, this is why I want to take some from him, take some from him. And then at the end of the day, I realized, well, shit, those 2 guys like to dribble. I don't like doing that shit. So I just try to be me. And that's one of the reasons I wore number 25, because when I got to high school, my high school coach was like, "What number you want to wear?" And I said, "I want to wear 32 so I can be like Magic Johnson." She's like, "Nope, you're not having that number." And I'm like, "Why?" He says, "Because you need to be your own in person. You need to be your own player. You can learn from him, but be who you are." And he was like, "When's your birthday?" "August 25th. You're wearing number 25.
Yeah.
That's how I got my number. Yeah.
It's stuck.
You stayed home for school, Alabama.
I didn't want to.
You didn't want to. Teammates with Latrell Sprewell. Talk about that experience.
I wanted to go to Georgia Tech, because growing up in Alabama, if I say Alabama, the first thing you think of right now, Nick Saban and football. Even though Nick Saban wasn't there, but it was still football. Derek Thomas, God rest his soul, one of my greatest friends. He's the one that helped me get through Alabama, because I didn't want to be there. And I wanted to go to Georgia Tech because I wanted to go to ACC, where they played basketball. SEC is football. But when I got to Alabama, Spree came in after he transferring there. And we had a good time. Spree was one of those crazy athletes. Like, he couldn't go right. I mean, left to save his life. But when he got to Don Nelson and Golden State, he forced that in him. And Spree was just, when you talk about D you up, we had a great defensive team. You had me, you had Jason Caffey, you had James Robinson. And don't ask me why didn't we win a national championship. I know we had a great team.
Y'all had Hollywood too, huh?
We had Hollywood. At one point,
went to the tournament every year.
Yeah. At one point, we started 5 pros. Hollywood was at the point, Spree was at the 2, I was at the 3, Jason Caffey was at the 4, and Ron Rodgers was at the 5.
Man.
And that was our starting lineup. But you got to think about Spree and I were both seniors. The other guys were juniors, and then Roy was a sophomore. So, but we learned a lot. We helped each other out. But I think the way Wimp coached us prepared us for the next level because he made us realize it ain't just about playing the game, it's about thinking the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They came real close this year in the tournament.
Yeah.
I know you was going crazy. Brandon Miller, y'all got a nice one coming out of there.
Yeah, he's really nice. And the crazy part is his dad was a tight end at Alabama when I was there.
Okay.
His mom ran track at Alabama. That's why everybody was like, how did somebody this fucking good go to Alabama?
Yeah.
It's the connection.
Yeah.
And so he ended up, man, I'm just happy he didn't, go down for that crazy situation that happened.
Yeah.
But he's a hell of an athlete.
Yeah.
He probably going to be a top 5 pick.
Mm-hmm.
Probably
number 2.
Top 3.
Think number 2?
I think going number 2.
I think going number 3.
Well, it's
Charlotte
crazy
got number 2, right?
Yeah, but they
Charlotte
don't need a guard. Yeah,
they
right.
need a wing. They don't need a point guard.
They don't need a point guard.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll
Might
be
go
interesting.
number-
Definitely top 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. 92, your 11th overall pick to the Rockets. And as you said earlier, like you looked for fit and they had obviously all the pieces. What is it like coming from a program where you saw success but never really got over the hump to playing with the Dream and everyone else on that team?
Houston.
Yeah, it's so hard to get over that hump. And sometimes you can look at, situations, like I look at my situation in Alabama and realize like, okay, every year we lost to a team that was better than us. And you had to face reality. My senior year, we lost to North Carolina. They won it that year. And then when you get to Houston, you're looking around like, shit, who's better than us? Well, you got Seattle who kicks our ass all the time. And you got that team called the Chicago Bulls that kicks our ass. And we just said, we just got to fight hard. And people don't understand, it's like one of my favorite shots that nobody talks about was a shot I hit as a rookie in Seattle to send us in overtime. They came, you think I got Vernon, I got Kenny, I got Dream. And I took the shot and we go into overtime. We eventually lost that game in Game 7. That was my rookie year. And next year we came back. We still had a great year, but it was just something about fucking Sean Kemp and Gary Payton, man. Yeah. And people don't know how freaking good Sean Kemp was, man. I remember him in high school. He's the same class in high school.
Where's he from?
He's from Virginia, right?
No,
Indiana.
Okay.
I mean, when I say, I wish y'all could have seen this dude in high school. Because Alonzo Mourning was considered the number 1 player in the country that year. And Sean, it would be me, Sean, Allen Houston, we were all hanging out. And Sean one day says, I can't stand that motherfucker. We're like, what are you talking about? He ain't better than me. And this is the first time I ever seen someone like got so fucking motivated because of he went out the next game.
Who did he say that to?
He was talking about Alonzo. Talking about Zoe. That mother, because even Chris Jackson was there. And Chris Jackson was sitting there, and he was like, funny. People don't know how funny Chris was before he got in the NBA. He was a loose guy, but this dude come down one time, Sean Kemp. I never seen somebody this big, Howlin' Rock, takes off from the free throw line, dunks on Zoe, and be like, that's why I'm the best motherfucking player in the country. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, okay, all right. And it was just, stuff like that is just weird. But Houston though was a perfect fit for me, man. It was, you think, but they needed a 3. I was a 3. I could, play off a Dream. If you duck Dream, and he didn't block the shot, I was blocking the shot on the other side. And then you have Vernon, one of the best perimeter defenders in the game. And it was just a great fit. And we just needed the bench pieces. Then we got Mario Ellie and Sam Cassell the following year, so that put us over the top. And I know we always talk about this, about who would have won in 94 and 95 if MJ would have left. But, people don't realize how good Dream was and how competitive Vernon Maxwell was.
Why not? I mean, Kenny said y'all would have handled him.
Yep.
And, what was your thoughts? Obviously, you have an understanding and you won a lot.
Yeah.
Those are some tough Bulls teams, but y'all was tough too. So
Yeah, we were tough. But this is why I know we would have won it, because I played for Phil. And I go back to this 2006 season. 2004 season where we were playing San Antonio, and I had to guard Tim. Tim gave me 36 a night. I'm begging for some, man, y'all give me a fucking double team. Because Tim started facing me up and doing stuff that I had never seen before. I said, I need a double team. And Phil was like, one man won't beat us. I'd be damn if he won't one man beat us. He's killing me right now.
Yeah.
And so he double teamed. I said, and with that same mentality, I know it wouldn't have changed with Dream.
Dream with an
And you think about this, and I'm looking back at everybody that they had on that Bulls team. I know I'm a better defender than all them dudes. And I know Dream is better than Tim. So they wouldn't have been able to stop Dream. They said, okay. And I feel like the young Rob would have been competitive enough to stop Scotty. And so I figured that's why we would have won it. And then you got, everybody said, what about the Black Jesus, meaning MJ? Look at the way Vernon played. I'm telling you.
Vernon didn't back down from nobody.
I'm telling you. Watch Vernon play. Vernon would give you 30 to 40. One of the craziest athletes you would ever see play this game. But because of his craziness being Mad Max, people don't talk about it or even view what he did or how good he was.
Facts.
We had a good team, man.
Yeah. You got any crazy? I'm a huge fan of Matt. We had a story.
That's the homie.
I'll tell you our story. So we were in Houston one time with the Warriors with Nelly, and somehow he found out we were going to have shoot around there. So we got there. He had like a full hour workout. Like, Nelly, look at me. You need a 10-day. Like, remember it was both full sweat. I promise you.
No.
We had first walked in there. Like, somehow he found out where we were practicing that. So he had got in there an hour before, had a full workout, talking about a 10-day. Nelly, what's up? 10-day. Like, this is what, 07? Yeah, that was the We Believe season,
That was the We Believe season.
Unbelievable. And I had to kind of look around like, is he serious? And people were like, no, he's serious. He's dead serious. Like, he was...
And he looked good, though.
Looked great.
He looked great.
Looked great.
Hey,
he looked great.
You talk about freaking bodies, his body is just... He was just ripped for no reason. Didn't really work out, but just was ripped. And he could just stay up all night, drink, smoke all night. That mother gonna come out and go for 40.
Yeah.
His favorite thing was if you come to LA and play, he loved playing in LA. That mother would hit a jumper and find out where the chili, this is when the chilies would sit on the sideline. That mother would fall and push herself back into the chilies, look at him, prettiest white teeth, smile at him. I'm fucking him up tonight, baby. And get back out there. It's like, he was, man. Vernon was just, man, he was funny, man.
He was fucking him up tonight.
I'm telling you, man, that dude was a crazy competitor, great athlete. And he could just, man, you had to be there. Another time, I mean, we had this instance, we were playing, how sometimes you have shoot around, guys leave, we still shooting around, all of a sudden our strength and conditioning coach comes running out like, yo, man, I need some fucking help. Vernon going fucking crazy. So we run in there, and Vernon and Carl Herrera both have weights in their hand. Them motherfuckers just boom, boom, hitting each other with the weights. And they like, help. He's like, I be damn, I'm not about to get hit with a fucking weight. And so them motherfuckers fought till they got tired, and then the next day they hugged it out. And if you ever see
Carl's a big dude.
Yeah, Carl's shoulder came out, plays. Vernon was the first person, like, I got this, my boy. He would help him to the back, and then 3 weeks later, the motherfuckers fighting again. And it was just the craziest relationship. But those two loved each other, and that was just the competitive nature of Vernon, boy. It's a lot of stories. Even though the time when I had to go save him in the stands.
I remember the stands.
Yeah. First
he
time.
walked straight up.
It was.
What happened? Break it. So for those who didn't see it.
So we playing Portland. Portland's kicking our ass, right? I'm pissed because when you have a good game and you lose and you feel even worse. So I'm sitting at the end of the bench and all I hear is, yo, Vernon, who's that bitch on your arm? Vernon says, what? And I'm at the end of the bench because I had just got subbed out. So Vernon's jets by me. And I look this way, I'm like, oh shit, he going in the stand. So I run up in the stands. It was two dudes. One dude jumps up, Vernon pushes him down, and he gets ready to swing on a dude. The other dude jumps up, and I'm getting ready to grab him. He looks at me and sits back down like, yeah, motherfucker. I'm like this. I'm like, yeah, I'm swole, right? And I look behind me, it's Otis Thorpe, and I strength and conditioning.
Oh, yeah,
so he like sat down real quick, like, and then the guy, he never hit the guy. He just pushed the guy down and said, what the fuck you say? Say it again. And the guy was like, oh. You know how everybody is. They talk trash until they,
Until Jack had to take it to the next level?
Yeah.
Where were you when I went in the stand? I needed you then. Come grab me.
Yeah.
Hey,
$3 million later.
Did Dream smack? Was that true or was that rumor?
That's the truth, but I got there the season after.
Okay, so you weren't there for that. Okay,
but Vernon will tell you the story how Dream, people don't. You remember
Dream smack too.
Vernon.
Oh,
so you remember Randy? What's Randy? I can't think of Randy's name. He used to play for the Clippers.
Randy Livingston?
No. He another Randy. I can't think of his name. But we were playing the Clippers, and I think it was Randy. But everybody was scared of Ken. Was it Ken Norman?
Norman.
Everybody was scared of Ken Norman, right? He was like that enforcer nobody would fuck with. So we walking off the court, and Randy's talking shit to Dream, and then he pushes Dream. Dream hit him with a two-piece, pop, real quick. And then he runs to get Ken. Ken said, who hit you? Dream. Fuck that. Because they know nobody would fuck with Dream. Because people realize Dream had those hands. If you go back before Dream really deep dive into his religion, that mug fought every time he could. It was a $25 to $50 fine. He didn't give a shit. He would knock you out in a second. So I think the old dream kind of came out because when you push someone, you kind of lose it sometimes. Yeah. He ran it with that two-piece real quick. He's like, I'm going to get my big brother. And big brother saw who it was.
No problems.
And it's crazy you say that because he the best person in the world. Like, he the best dude in the world, Dream.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
best person in the world. The NBA Finals are here. Matt, what's different about the Finals this year?
Well, Jack, it's the Finals, man. It's the last games of the season, and there's a lot more at stake.
In honor of the Finals, our partners at DraftKings Sportsbook are dishing out a can't-miss offer.
All new customers bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the promo code SMOKE to get your bonus bets.
Win, lose, or draw, you'll still get $200 in bonus bets instantly.
Wondering what you could do with $200 in bonus bets? Try DraftKings Same Game Parlay. On Friday, you can even join the All the Smoke Same Game Parlay. See who me and Stack are riding with and join along.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use promo code SMOKE. Bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code SMOKE, only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
The NBA season is coming to a close, and that means we only have a few more weeks left of All the Smoke Same Game Parlay. Every Friday, we're cooking up the new bets using DraftKings Sportsbook. While you still can, make sure you go back and check out the All the Smoke Same Game Parlays. Head over to the app and see our picks and who we're riding with. The action only happens at DraftKings Sportsbook. I want to backpedal a little bit. Your draft, 92 draft, was heavy. Shaq, Zoe, Christian Laettner. Any stories about that draft process or workouts or anything like that?
Well, you go to Chicago, you have all these workouts, so you have to do that treadmill test.
Mm-hmm.
So
the stress test.
It's me, Oliver Miller, Todd Day. We all hanging out, and we all talking about SEC. And Shaq's on the treadmill. He had just got to that point where he went to like the third level. And Oliver Miller was like, "Watch this." He goes over and unplugs the thing, and Shaq almost fall, and everybody starts laughing. What the fuck you laughing at? That shit ain't funny. It's all good. Shaq was like about to whoop Oliver Miller ass, and then the people come, well, you got to do it again. Shaq like, do it again? Fuck that motherfucker, man. I'm out of here. And he left, and so after that, nobody's like, well, Shaq leaving? We all fucking leaving.
Everybody out.
We just, we followed Shaq because we know he's going to be the number one pick. So whatever he said goes. And
for all of us.
Yeah, for all of us. Yeah. But the craziest thing that actually happened to me personally was I had an interview with, what's the coach of Seattle name that coached Sean and all them? George Carl. And George Carl comes to me and says, you should be playing in Chicago. I'm like, I just played in Orlando when I shouldn't have won. I won MVP in Orlando. You think I'm playing in Chicago too? She said, what makes you think you shouldn't play in Chicago? I said, look around. I'm better than all these motherfuckers in here. I tell you that. And he was like, okay, that's all I need to know. I like confidence. And so ever since then, he and I had a good relationship. And it was so weird because of my draft. 11 pick, everybody thought it was going to be Harold Miner or Tracy Murray. And so for me, this was the first year that the draft wasn't held in New York. It was in Portland because that's the year of the Dream Team. And so my mom at the time was scared to fly. My dad had just had neck surgery. I didn't have a girlfriend at the time. My agent was in New York. So I think I was the only person that went to the draft by themselves that was going to be a lottery pick. So I was literally in the bathroom when the Houston pick came up, and I walked back. And, everybody they have the things in their ears where they take the camera. They got one camera in front of Tracy Murray and one camera in front of Harold Miner. And then all of a sudden, you hear them all do this, and they start running over towards where me and Doug Creasy were boys because we did camps together. We were always hanging together. We always got cut at the same time, so we were all on that van at these events leaving at the same time. And I was like, oh, Doug, you about to get drafted by Houston. And then when Houston called my name, I think that was the best moment in my basketball career outside of winning rings because not many guys go to the team they really, really want to go to.
Right.
And from that moment on, it was just the best feeling for me, man. So that was a great moment in my basketball life, and I started winning championships.
The evolution of a stretch four, like you have to have it now, but it wasn't really a position back then. You obviously came in as a three-man, but kind of transitioned to that stretch four. Speak to the kind of the development of that and where that came from.
Well, it came from because nobody could guard Charles Barkley on our team. We were playing them in the playoffs. We were down 3-1 to them. And
Charles was in Phoenix.
And we were down. Because we had just made that big trade to get Clyde. We traded away Otis Thorpe, as our power forward. So the first 2 games, he was killing Pete Chilcutt, who was our power forward. Then he was killing Chucky Brown. And all of a sudden, they looked at me like, well, you got to make a lineup change. Let's go.
Did Chucky have the gold tooth back then, or were they regular?
He had to go to, Chucky Dirty South, man. He still got that go to probably. So they put me at power forward. And, even though Chuck was way stronger than me, but I was faster, I was quicker, I was longer. So, and I'm not saying I didn't stop him, but, I kind of did, from getting 50 a night, he got 30 a night. And so we eventually came back and won that series. And from that moment on, it's like, oh, you are a power forward. And that's why and in the next series, we went on to play San Antonio, which kind of worked in my favor because people forget Dennis Rodman was on that San Antonio team. And what Dennis going to do? He going to rebound. He ain't coming out the paint.
Yeah.
And so I was just knocking down threes. And then we went on to play Orlando, and Horace Grant ain't really a true power forward like it was back then, like the Karl Malones and all that guy. And then I was just lighting him up. And so after that, they was like, "You are a power forward." And then I got to LA. I had to put on a little weight, and it kind of just changed my game from there, man. Because when I first got in the league, I'm slashing, I'm dunking, I'm shooting threes, I'm doing all this stuff. Because that's how we first met in Phoenix when you used to come work out with us.
Yeah.
You was
No. He was like fresh out of high school.
I was a kid.
Yeah, he was young. He used to work out with us, like Sam and Sam was just like him and Sam. Every time I look up, him and Sam were together.
Well, I mean, obviously you're known for the offensive side, but your defensive game was heavy. What were some of the tricks of the trade? Because you were one of some that learned how to guard that position. One of the greatest post defenders that doesn't really get the credit.
Two-way player.
Obviously lock up on the wing. But what were some of your tricks when you would have to play the bigger, stronger guys?
My whole thing was these big, strong guys like to feel your body, and I used to always. And so friend Kurt Rambis literally wanted me to come coach with him in Minnesota so I can teach them this move I used to do where I know my arms are long, so I would use my arm to give me this space. So when you spin, I move my arm, you're not spinning off me, you're spinning off my arm so I can get in front of you. It worked with a lot of people other than Chris Webber because he was just too damn long. But most everybody, and Chris Webber and Rashida didn't work against. And so this is what I was doing. I just was try to think. I would lean to the side to make you go to the other side because I wanted you to go that way. But the other thing that was a great connection was me and Kobe had this connection where you in the post, Kobe would literally turn around and look at you because I'd be like, Kobe! And he'd turn around because he knew what was coming. I had this move where I would stick my arm between your arm, I would poke the ball loose. And I've been doing that since college. So everybody said, you learned that from Dream. I said, no, I taught Dream that. And so because all my life I've been smaller than the post players I had to play. Because in college, I played center because we had nobody else to do it. Even though I was a small forward. And so I had to learn to use the tricks of the trade, my quickness and my size, and it was just one of those things that I just learned to play. I just love playing defense. And for me, that's my biggest regret. I never made an all defensive team. And people are like, well, you didn't play. I was like, dude, I was 100 steals a game. I was 100 blocks a game my first couple of years in Houston. I was the first guy to ever be a 100 guy. And that's 100 blocks, 100 steals, 100 threes in a season. And there's so many things like that I was like pissed about because I value defense.
Right.
I think defense wins championships. I even get mad now watching the games when you get these guys that like, there's just point. Like, no, dude, you got to move your feet. You got to be in position. You got to go ball you, man. It's just so weird. But I just love playing defense, man.
Yeah. How do you feel about so many people can't shoot in the game down? They just, they backing off guys and just, how do you feel about that?
That happened to me. When I was in Houston, I was reluctant to shoot the ball. Now I couldn't shoot the ball, but you just want to get it to the superstars. And for me, I think guys got to learn how, okay, you want to back off me? Just take a dribble in. And take a dribble in and shoot the shot. And then, eventually you make one, and you make two, people are going to guard you, then you go from there. But I think now the game is predicated on the three so much that people, even when you look at guys like DeMar DeRozan, who I love to death, and they're like, oh, he's averaging 30 points a game, but he can't shoot three. Who gives a shit?
He's efficient.
Yeah, it's about getting buckets, man.
Yep.
At the end of the day, it's about getting buckets. I don't give a shit if you knock down 10 threes and I knock down 32s. It's still the same thing. It's just the efficiency of getting buckets and making the right play because there's not a team alive gonna let you post up and you killing someone in the post. Because first of all, if I'm guarding you, Kim, I'm gonna ask for help. Now you got a double team. Now it's gonna make it easier shot for these guys out here on the perimeter.
Right.
That's the one thing I like about the way Miami is playing. If you watch every 3 they take, it's up on the line. It's not like everybody else who's like trying to shoot logo threes, man.
exactly.
Like, it's efficiency. Okay, in the playoffs, you have to take great shots. And when you up on the three-point line, that's a great shot compared to 2 feet behind, which is a good shot for some people, unless you're Steph Curry.
Right.
And so people, that's what I look at now with the 3 and the 2s. I'm like, dude, just get buckets. Think about it. If Joel Embiid would have just got more fucking buckets by taking his big ass in the paint, they would have kind of won that series. But no, he want to face up and shoot that little ugly fadeaway jumper.
Crossover
You know, I'm
and all
like,
that,
dude, no. Al Horford is killing you playing good defense because you playing in his
You're
world.
allowing him to.
Take him to your world.
Yeah.
And
Go
be-
drown him.
Yeah.
Go drown him in that post. That would be the one. I mean, obviously MVP and super skill, but like you said, sometimes you just got to use what God gave you.
Yeah.
That's your size.
You got to take them in your world. That's why when I say about take them in your world, when bigs try to cross up littles, they face up a little. Why the fuck
No
are you
sense.
facing a little up? Back his little ass down. But I guess I'm too old school sometimes. When I try to make the game simple, they may make it hard.
Your second and third year, you know, I'm from that area. Y'all won championships back to back. They called it Tucson. How was it around that time?
Man, Tucson, Clutch City, whatever you want to call it, it was a fantastic time. Because if you think about it, Houston, one of the third largest cities in the United States. They've had the Oilers with Warren Moon right there, almost winning a championship. The Astros with Nolan almost winning championships. None of these teams ever won a championship until we got there. Houston went there with the Twin Towers, and they didn't make it across. They didn't make it past the Celtics. And all of a sudden now this team comes in. And the first year, like, okay, they're good. And the next year we start off at that 16-0 record. We one of the best teams, and all of a sudden, we go down 2-0 to Phoenix, and everybody starts abandoning us. Nobody even comes to our, we just had a Mother's Day game. We had a Mother's Day game in Houston, in the Summit, and I think we had about maybe 5,000 to 6,000 people in there. And, and you think this arena holds 12,000. It was half empty. And I remember going on TV saying, I said, well, everybody want to call us, well, that wasn't Clutch City, but like we folded and shit. Now, so y'all didn't come to the games. We need your support. And so they kind of got mad, but then they realized, oh shit, they do need our support. We went on to win that championship that year, but Houston, great city, no state tax, and that's good as an athlete, man.
Yep.
You get to keep the money, and it's just one of those cities where you fall in love with because the people there are nice. The economy is great, and now that you retire, one of the things you like to do is eat. A lot of great restaurants.
How much harder is it to win the second one?
It's so much harder because everybody's expecting you to win. You might not have a good team. You might have the same team guys be injured, but they expect you to. So you do it, you got to do it again. And for us, we started the season off bad. Sam got hurt, I got hurt, Mario got hurt, Dream got hurt. And then the only person who was on a consistent basis was Otis Thorpe. And so, we lose, and all of a sudden you say, no, we're going to get rid of Otis and bring in Clyde. And then we didn't jail until the last month because we never played together because we was all hurt. And then when we got Clyde, we jailed and we realized what we can do, and we went small and we just started running and gunning. Even though we had the anchor and Dream, but he'll get a block shot. We taking off running. He'll sit back and wait. We score. We come back down. If we don't score or what else, we had to take it out. We say, Dream, go get your big ass on the block. We give it to you and get out of the way. And so, and that's how we played, man. But it was hard to repeat. And then it was really hard to three-peat. The next year we got our asses handed because everybody was hating on us. MJ came back and he had a squad. So for only 4 years in Houston, man, I was 2 championships in 4 years. That's not bad.
That's tough. During that run, you guys ran into a young Shaq and Penny.
Yeah.
Talk to us about them and obviously how good they were, but just young at that time.
Ah, man, they were young. We used to call them America's team. So like the Cowboys, they were always on TV because think about it, they just came up doing blue chips. They're winning, they're kicking butt. Shaq is, doing all these things, and Penny. I hate that Penny knees went out because, man, you talk about freaking amazing. Man, you watch his highlights when young, he's just amazing, man. And then you got D. Scott and you got Anderson, all these guys. They had a great team. They're young, and the piece they was missing was Horace Grant. A guy bringing that veteran leadership that could anchor that defense for a postman. But it was great to go up against him because we were pissed because first of all, we weren't on TV that much as defending champions. You know, everybody was forgetting about us, and everybody just forgot about the run we had just made. We went in Utah, beat Karl Malone and all those guys. We went into Phoenix, beat Charles, and we were down 3-1, came back to win that. And then we beat the best team in basketball, the San Antonio Spurs. People forget that was David Robinson, you know, Dennis Rodman, you know, Sean Elliott. They had a good crew. You know, we beat that team, and then we were going on to sweep Shaq, man. But it's just like I said, once you get on a roll as a team, can't nobody stop you. It's like it don't matter what defense you're throwing, we seen it all. And at this point, it's about us just knocking down threes. You think about it. When Anderson missed those 4 free throws, it's almost like it's destiny. It creeps into your mind, and the other team's mind like, fuck, we had them beat, and we lost this game. And now we started sticking our chest like, oh, we cocky as hell now. You can't beat us. We know the basketball guys on our side. And one of the things that people always forget that those next 2 years is what made it so easy for us. They moved the three-point line in. That was the year they moved it in. So we were knocking down threes at a high clip. You know, so that was easy. So yeah, but the two-peat was hard. But like I said, that three-peat was damn near impossible, and we didn't. So it's hard, man, to win in this league, period. So
we're gonna get to the point where you did three-peat, so don't worry. Traded to Phoenix in the Charles Barkley deal. Not there long. You arrive in LA with Shaq, Eddie, Nick, Sid, Eldon Campbell. Lose to Utah in that first round. What was going to LA like and getting a chance to play with Shaq initially?
Well, it was great, you know, because you think about all the battles Shaq and I had in college and then in finals and then to play alongside him and see his development. If you watch young Shaq, he didn't have the footwork as he did as he got older. He started spinning and dunking on people and doing that thing, and he started, you know, hitting his jump hook. And then, you know, you're playing with Kobe, the guy, and you know, we all said it, we all seen it, how hard he worked. And then you had guys that, you know, like Eddie and Nick and Rick Fox, and, you know, Eddie Jones, probably one of the most athletic guys ever. You know, Nick is one of the most competitive guys ever. But when you got that, and you got little young Kobe sitting on there like, I need all those shots you getting, I need. And so we went into Utah and got swept, and everybody talks about, why did you go to Kobe for him to take that final second? Because the dude was hot. People forget about that. Is you go with the hot guy, and to me, great coaches go with the hot guy. He had I think 17 in the fourth or 16 in the fourth, something good. And he just missed the shot, so everybody's like, you can't give it to a young guy. But right from that moment, that you can tell that this dude was gonna be something special, because he can't even buy beer yet, can't even buy liquor, and he's taking over a team and, you know, saying, get on my shoulders. And it was hard, but I think the best thing for us is when we brought in pieces that fit. I know we hate to see Eddie and Nick go, but they weren't the pieces that make us a championship team. And then also we added Phil, who made Shaq finally get in shape, you know, basketball shape, and he made Kobe play more together, and then we just, you know, we was able to win a championship.
Speak to Phil's greatness, and, you know, I was fortunate enough to, I only got a year with him, but his ability to push people's buttons for the greater cause of the team. He may get in a motherfucking argument. I remember Ron used to cuss his ass out, but he knew how to push those buttons to get different guys going. Speak to his greatness and kind of what he brought to that team.
I think what the main thing is, he got guys to understand this is bigger than you. And, you know, he also got that little, you know, you have the devil and the angel. He's got that angel of coaching Michael Jordan on his shoulder, and everybody looks at the angel instead of the devil and kind of, you know, listens to him. But the thing with Phil, what people don't talk about, is his ability to just bring you to a side and talk to you about what he needs you to do for the team. You know, I had so many guys that come out of a meeting with Phil and said, man, Phil told me I need to do this, this, and this. Have you talked to Phil yet? I'm like, nah, he ain't never called me in the office. Like, you what? He says, never. They said, Phil and I never had a conversation except for one time. And the only reason we had a conversation is because I was on the training table getting my back work done, and he was about to get his back work done. We had a conversation, and the conversation went exactly like this. How you doing? Good. He says, so what happened between you and Danny Ainge? I didn't like the motherfucker. Okay. End of conversation. And we never had a conversation other than like, help me, give me a double team with Tim. We don't need that. You know, it was never like, you know, like Pop and I've had conversations. He's asked me about my daughter. He's asked me about my family. You know, Rudy and I have conversations. So it's just one of those things that I think Phil was one of the type of person, if he needed you to do what's best for the team, he would have a conversation. And I think deep down he knew I put the team first. I didn't put myself first. I didn't care if I scored. I didn't care. As long as we won, that's all I care about. And so for me, I think that's how Phil was able to bring everybody together. He knew he'd go to B. Shaw and said, B. Shaw, I need you to talk to Kobe. I need you to talk to Shaq. I need them to play better. I need them to play defense. And it was one of those things that he was like a psychologist where he just know how to mentally get people motivated.
As you see Shaq's greatness and Kobe's starting to grow, what was that process like?
It was a great thing to watch. I think everybody really saw the process when we played Indiana in the finals, and they saw him when Shaq found out Kobe was able to take over. But we saw it all season. We saw it in practice. We saw how he was getting better and better. We saw how hard he worked. And I think what was best was like Shaq understood it too. You know,
Whether he admitted it or not, he understood it.
And he know, because there was moments where Shaq would give him the ball, and you know, this is how you know, because Shaq would back off and try to get out of his way, and he would go to the dunker spot and let Kobe do his thing. That's how he was able to get that dunk in the Portland series, because he was letting Kobe do his thing. And even though he was killing, but you know, okay, who has a better advantage, Kobe or Shaq? You know, so he said, "Go ahead, Kobe, you hot," and he was able to get a shot. And I think, you know, it's just like anybody when you feel like it's your team, you got this young buck trying to take on, you still got it. You know, it's the difference when you don't have it, you still got it, and you're like, no, I still got it. This is still my city. But I think he should, you know, I think he realized, you know, I need this dude to get what I want. I need everybody on this team to get what I want. It's not about me, because we all seen MJ try to do it until he got, you know, Pip and all, you know, Horace and all these other guys to make them whole.
Tony.
You gotta have this. And I think that's what he did.
Any funny, crazy stories either between them or just of a young Kobe? Or we always try to ask our guests that.
Oh, you know, everybody knows about, you know, the bet and him smacking Samaki Walker on the bus, and everybody knows about how mad he would get. We would play, you know, the string game.
Hold on, he smacked Samaki Walker? I ain't heard that.
You never
one.
heard this story? So basically, we would make little bets. And so one day, Samaki made a bet with Kobe, and we all pay up immediately. And Samaki didn't pay. You know, Samaki was new to the team. And so Samaki didn't pay him, and Kobe kept asking 1 day, 2 days, 2 weeks later. He's like, you don't give me my money, I'm going to smack you upside the head. So as Kobe was walking past him on the bus, he's like, Samaki, you got my money? Nah, motherfucker, got your motherfucking money. Stop asking me.
Oh.
He smacked
Kobe smacked the shit out of him.
Samaki. Samaki, like, it was like a shock. Samaki, whoa, motherfucker, wait, whoa. And he just walked. And he walked out there. It was the funny thing. I don't know if he ever paid him or not, but I said, no, I'm not paying you after you smacked me. But it was just one of those things, man. But yeah, it was funny. And, you know, Kobe, we would always mess with Kobe. We'd be in practice. You know, the second team would beat them. Kobe wanted to play another game. And, you know, Phil knew that he's like, nah, we ain't playing tonight. He would get so pissed. This dude literally wouldn't talk to us the next day until he got his revenge. You know, he just had that killer instinct. And even when we would play string games in practice, you know, Kobe couldn't shoot threes, you know, in the first couple of years of his career. He would get mad because he wouldn't win a game, and he'd be early the next day working on number threes. All right, guys, we're going to play a string game today? And like, nah, we ain't playing today, dog. Just to fuck with him, right, man? He was just that. He wanted to win at everything, man. So that was just one of us just to give him hell and play with him. But the dude, it was so many funny stories. Our best times, man, literally after practice, when we would sit in the locker rooms and ice down and just shoot the shit, man. I think, you know, I don't know about you guys. That's what I miss most about not playing.
Yeah, we was talking about that.
The locker room
the
talk.
bus rides, the planes, the locker room.
The going to dinners on the road.
You mentioned early, and we're going to get to Timmy down the line, but you were there for Hakeem's greatness and dominance as a big. Talk to us about Shaq's.
You know, so he's just, when you just talk about sheer force and dominance, is nobody like him. You know, his ability to take it on the break, spin and dunk on you, and the one thing that I really admit that I look up to Shaq in the sense that I couldn't have been him, because if you on the block and you see how much he gets beat up and doesn't react the way he could kill somebody. You know,
he tried to kill Brad Miller.
I know. I'm like, it's so many times where you could just literally spin right and just mess somebody up, man. He
Take their
wouldn't do
whole
that.
grill off.
He wouldn't do it. He's like, he would take it, and there's a couple guys like Ostertag, Brad Miller, and all those guys that he didn't take it from, but he was just, man, in the refs, I would go to the refs like, did you just hear that smack? Oh, he's big enough, he can handle it. That doesn't
Just not the
fucking
point.
matter, man.
That's not
It's
the
a fucking,
point.
if I smack you
I'll
in your
lose
face
my
right now,
mind.
you tossing me. So just call the call. And so, but he was graceful enough where he took it, and he's like, it's almost like he knew that came with being that big and that dominant, that he just had to overcome it. And he'll tell you to this day, if you'd have ever just got in shape like he did that first year Phil came, they wouldn't have broke up him and Kobe. They'd have found a way to make it work. And he would have been, the Lakers would have been,
Ain't no telling.
Sheesh. It'd have been so dominant, man.
Ain't no telling.
It'd been amazing. So, even though they tried to bring in Carl and Gary, it was that disconnect. And you got to be connected if you want to win a championship.
98, 99, you guys fall short, swept by Utah, swept by San Antonio the following year. Speak to the growth and the importance of feeling that before you guys go on your run for 3.
You talking about 1, 2, 3 Cancun? See, people don't understand where that came from. That came
Talk to me, because we're actually shooting a show like that with Amazon that we're going to launch next year.
See, the 1, 2, 3 Cancun came when we got swept by Utah. And people don't understand, it wasn't to be negative, it was to try to loosen up. Nick was trying to loosen up the team because we was down 3-0. He said, man, let's just go out here and play loose. If we don't, we go into Cancun. On 3, 1, 2, 3 Cancun. And everybody took it as Nick saying, oh, fuck this, the season's over with, right? He was trying to loosen guys up. We lost that game. He lost to a better team. We were a young, immature team that got beat by a veteran team who went on to go to the championship, but didn't win it though, but they went on to the championship. And for us, everybody was like, And then the next year, we hate that the Forum got shut down by San Antonio. We got beat by a better team. And sometimes people don't look at the other team. They just look at you as an individual. Like, you bad. You not good. You suck. No, we got beat by a better team. We got beat by Tim Duncan, Mario Ellie, Sean Elliott, David Robinson, who people forget is one of the best fucking players and best centers ever played this game. And so we got beat. But the next year, we came in, everybody was motivated. We were locked in. Shaq got in shape because we got this new coach, Phil, coming in. And I think this is the first training camp I've ever been to where everybody was in shape when you come into training camp. And because nobody knew what Phil how he was going to be, was he going to run as a diff? And, because it's not like now where you can look at all the film on our phones and shit and see the history of what he did in the Bulls and how they used to run. We didn't know any of that. So we got Phil and everybody was in shape, and we started the season out really good, and we just rolled from there, man.
One of your most famous shots, might not be your favorite, but the Game 4 shot versus Sacramento. The anniversary of that of what, 21 years is coming up soon, isn't it? 21 years. Walk us through that shot and in that play.
The play is called What the Fuck.
Fitting.
Phil said, we're going to run What the Fuck. You get the ball in bounds. I'm supposed to set a pick for Kobe to come off. Doug Chris, one of the best defenders to play this game. He had Doug Chris on, and Kobe, if he can get that angle going right, and I think this is this layup he missed kind of taught Kobe how if I'm going left, I don't have to get it to the hole. That's when he started developing that turnaround fader, right, to going right. That was one of his favorite shots. And from that moment, he went to the hole, and he missed. And then Shaq short arm tipped it, and then Vlade tipped it out. And then I was sitting right there. And people always wonder, why were you still at the 3? Why weren't you crashing the board? Because I played with Kobe. And Kobe, if he can't get the shot, he's going to kick that bitch back out to me for the game winner. And so I'm sitting there waiting like this the whole time. And then it got tipped. It got tipped perfectly.
Right to your pocket.
Right to where everybody likes to catch it right here so you can just go straight up. And then, and that's one thing about being a shooter and guarding a guy like a true 4 back then. They gravitate towards the paint. And
you're wide
when
open.
Chris Webber left me, I was able to knock down that shot. But it's one of the greatest moments that I've had in my career, man. It was just the fact when I watched the film and the overhead shot, when I make that shot, the whole arena jumps up at the same time. You see Dante on our ball boy streaking across the floor. And I still get goosebumps when I see that shot because you think about as a kid, when you grow up a Lakers fan, and as a Laker, you hear them chant Kobe's name, you hear them chant Shaq's name. You really never get that moment Now you step on the stage and the biggest moment, you knock down a shot and everybody's chanting your name, man. It's the best feeling ever, man. Especially, knowing that after that, you're not paying for any dinners nowhere. You get in the club
And
easily.
you in LA too, man.
You go to Vegas, you ain't never paying for no drinks. So that was the best moment ever, man.
And considering the start, I mean, you missed that shot. You guys are down 3-1.
Yes.
I mean, that's what a lot of people don't remember is you're down 3-1 if you missed that shot. Another notable time, this
Sacramento, that was a good fucking team.
They were good. That's what I was going to say.
That was a good team.
They were a really good team. You guys shut the door on a lot of good teams, but I want to talk about that Game 6 because we've talked to Webb about Game 6. We've heard Donaghy speak on Game 6. Talk to us about just like that team, that game in particular, because Sacramento was a good team. You guys were the better team. You came out and got the win, but Sacramento was a really good team.
Sacramento was a really good team. People... They break everything down when they say, "Oh, it's the scandal." Donaghy was calling this. I'm like, it was a couple fouls that got on Chris Webber. I'm like, I know how to play Chris, but I made him foul me. He elbowed me. He screamed. It's like so many calls, but people forget in Game 5. They got a lot of favorable calls, and people don't talk about it. They talk about how it was a possession where Bibby went out of bounds or something. I can't remember exactly. And it was supposed to be our possession. They got it. He knocks down a shot. So it all evens out. And but don't blame us for you had home court advantage. We go in your building in game 7. You got Stojakovic. To me, this is me. If you're able to walk without a limp, you can play.
Facts.
Especially in the game 7 to see who's going to go to the finals.
Facts.
He doesn't play in that game. And so don't get mad at us, get mad at him. We went in your building, took you to overtime and kicked your ass, and now you're going to call foul. I'm like, no. You call foul on Stojakovic. He should have played in that game. And nobody talks about that. This is why you play so hard throughout the regular season
to get there,
to be home court advantage, and have your fans behind. And then you had the cowbells and stuff.
How rowdy was that crowd? Because this is the first time in 16 years that they got in the playoffs this year. And I remember those old crowds too. But how crazy and loud were they?
The moment Phil Jackson called this town a cowbell town, it was the worst decision he's ever made. Everybody in the room came with a cowbell, and they were just ringing that shit. We didn't hear, we couldn't hear anything Phil was saying. We looking at for a plays call, because he do that whistle thing. He can whistle, you can't hear that shit. So it's just mostly on us, and that was the perfect time. Kobe like, oh, I got it. I'm gonna go one-on-one.
I can't hear you.
I got it. I'm going one-on-one. Come send me a pick, Rob. I got this one-on-one. But but throughout the years, we talked about Phil, and that's what he would do. He would put us in situations to make us uncomfortable. So when we had that, we would be comfortable. He would empower and that's that's the sign of great coaches. They put you in uncomfortable positions, so when the greatest moment arrives, you are comfortable. So
and allowed you guys, like I said, to elaborate, he allowed you to figure it out. He wasn't someone who was bunch on quick timeouts. Like if teams go on runs, he wants you to figure that shit out. You know what I mean? And like you said, for situations where you might not be able to utilize what he has to say. I used to love that about Phil.
I did too. Sometimes you look, and it's so funny, you can look for help, and he'll look at you like, what are you looking at me for? Figure it out.
Just sitting there.
And that's the best thing, And I was coaching my son's AAU team, and I would sit down, and parents would get mad at me for not calling time. I'm like,
I do the same shit.
Let them figure it out, man. I'm like, it's gonna make them better. And so, and people don't understand that. You don't have to micromanage everything. You don't have to do that. Let those guys, they're grown men, they're smart players. And I think that's one thing we don't get enough credit for. We've been doing this since a young age, and we have the IQ, but a lot of times the coaches forget that. They forget we know what the hell we doing. That's why we're here. And that's one thing, that's why Rudy was kind of my favorite coach of all time, is because after timeouts, he would come to us and say, what y'all want to run? What y'all see out there? What's going on? You know how now these coaches spend so much time in the huddle? Rudy would come and sit and talk to us like, what y'all want to run? Every time it was 15. That was to play for dream and get out of the way. But he would talk to us, and that's what coaches have to do with their players. Not the player that comes in and say, "Hey, we need to do this," and tries to take over. No, just ask everybody as a whole. What's the feel?
What you see?
2003, we played in the Western Conference semis, and we ended y'all run. Remember that?
Oh, I remember that.
You remember that? It was some great basketball being played. I think that's, for me, That's when
That's when I was asking for help. I remember
Yeah,
that.
that's when Tim really took it to another level, man. I've never seen nobody play like that, especially against Shaq. But give me your experience and your take on it. When we got a chance to see Tim and Shaq really go at it.
Yeah, for me,
Y'all was on y'all way to 4.
Yeah,
Not 3, 4.
Right.
So
Crazy.
Tim figured me out. I used to do this little trick thing with Tim where when I would guard Tim, I would always want him to go to the middle so I could have my hand on his hip. So every time Tim would jump, I would jump and pull his hip down and try to block his shot. And he would yell at the ref like, he's pulling me down. They're like, where? And it was a little trick I would do. And so the next year, Tim started facing me. I'm like, fuck, I can't do my trick now. And he would just go at me and then spin move, and I can't grab him and was just hitting shots. I mean, the dude was on a mission. And when you run across a player, like Jimmy Buckets now, he's on a fucking mission.
That's how Tim was, exactly.
Yeah, and you can't stop him. You can throw everybody at him, and then, feel like, we're going to throw Shaq at him. He too quick for Shaq.
Bro, he started doing hooks and little runners on Shaq.
I tell you, I was like, the best bet is try to get him on the other side of the floor because, Tim wasn't that good off that right block. But it's like, but he just was that year. And then when he wasn't hitting, everybody knows about Cove. If Cove don't respect you, he's not going to really guard you. He wasn't really respecting Bruce Bowen. Next thing you know, 6. I'm like, damn, Bruce had 6 threes?
All in the corner.
All in the corner. And I was like, damn, it's like, and then you get to a point, and then we go into San Antonio, and I missed that damn shot, which could have changed the whole outcome
series.
of everything. And once I missed that shot, it was like our whole team was like, damn, Rob missed. Basketball guys must mean we gonna lose.
Hey, for real. Because if you saw Tim Face,
They thought it was over.
It's a video on Tim Face where Rob, the shot go in and come out, and Tim's just standing like this.
Yeah, it's
Like, it would have been over that fast for us, dog.
Yeah, and it was so weird that, and I think that's the most disgusted I've ever been because I said to myself, I don't miss those fucking shots, man. I don't fucking miss
It
this
bounced
shot.
right to him. He like, oh, come on, man. Come on now. Not this again.
I'm like, fuck me, man.
But that shit went in.
Yeah, and it was just one of those things, man, where you sit back and it creeps in your mind. It's like, I don't supposed to miss this shot. Well, maybe it's not our year. The basketball guys saying it's their year. And, it happened. The next thing you know, they went on to win a championship, man. And then I'm out it the next year because I missed the shot. I'm out. So, yeah.
You go to San Antonio, though.
In San Antonio.
How was that, leaving the Lakers and...
It was weird, man, because
Yeah.
you think about all the battles we used to have with San. It was almost like a rivalry that
yeah.
wasn't talked about. Because you think about when Shaq made up the story about him hating David Robinson and all that kind of stuff. But it was a rivalry in its sense. Then I remember I went there and I had some people come up to me and said, "You came here to sabotage our team, didn't you?" I'm like, "What you talk? What?" I'm like, "No." This is, well, why'd you come to San Antonio Spurs? Because I fit here. And I had signed, and it was weird because I was so pissed that the Lakers let me. I had 1 year left on my deal. And they looked at me like, well, you're washed up. They literally thought I was washed up. They said, well, because I think I went for 3 for 36 from 3. Awful. But I said, you forget, there's a lot of miles on this body. We've been to the finals 3. I was fucking tired. And I had no energy. And I was trying my best, but I didn't have any energy. I went back and looked at the film of my shooting. If you usually jump like 2 inches to take a jump shot, I was shooting like 1 inch. It was just my legs were gone. And so, and then when I got to San Antonio, it was like I had that more time in the summer to recharge my battery. And I had a bad year my first year in San Antonio. And people was like, oh, you here to sabotage. So the next year, people don't know this, I signed a 1-year deal the following year, 2005, because I knew that I was going to be better because I was really energized now. I signed like $1 million deal. And people don't even know. It's like I could have because Shaq wanted me to come to Miami and play. And then they wanted me to go to Dallas and play because you're the missing piece for us to win a championship. But I said, no, I felt so bad that I had an awful first year in San Antonio. And I stayed and signed, and then we won it in 2005. We won it. And then I signed a 3-year deal, and then I was out after that. But it was one of those things for me. You have pride as a player, and you don't want anybody to view you as, a bum in my mind. I was like, I think San Antonio was viewing me as, oh, he's washed up, he's a bum, he can't do this, right? And I was like, no, I got years left in me. I said, I don't think people understand. By the time I got to San Antonio, I had already won 5 championships. I was already playing more playoff games than anybody. and my body was just tired.
Tired, right.
And then from there on, I had a couple of good years there, won 2 more championships, and then rode off into the
That was
sunset.
it. Mm.
What goes on in your mind when the ball rolled to you like that in the clutch? Like, I know you, Matt, know, like, you always been at an even cool. You always cool, laid back. And I think that's why you've always been able to knock those shots down when the ball comes to you. But what's going on through your mind?
For me, it's just absolutely nothing. And you think about it, we play this game because we love this game. I know it's become a business, but when we started out, we played it because we loved it. Then it turned into a business. Now kids, it's a business from day one with all the NILs and, the followings and stuff like this. But for me, it was just the love of the game, man. Having that ability to say, oh, I kicked your ass, I knocked down this shot on you. And so for me, I don't think about anything because I know once I started thinking, that's when I start messing up. Because you tell so many people, like, you can go out and do a crazy dunk or something, and then you go into practice, man, do that dunk again. You can't do it because you got to think about it. Mm-hmm. But you can do it when you don't think, and that's how basketball players are. My best games are when I'm not thinking, I'm just playing and reacting. Mm-hmm. So I never think, man.
Right. Your 7th ring, y'all sweep LeBron in the finals.
Yeah.
What was LeBron like then?
LeBron wasn't the jump shooter or the knockdown three. He was more of a drive guy. He'd get by you, big body, jump over you. And that whole game plan was like, we gonna double team every time he come off a pick and roll. We gonna double team him, and then it's almost like the water boy, because if you had Mike Brown over there on the other side, every play they ran were our plays in San Antonio. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You can't run floppy down. That's our play.
You can't,
floppy side. That's our play.
Wedge roll. You can't run roll. None of that.
You can't run that. He ran almost every play that San Antonio ran, and we look like, damn. This is gonna be the easiest scout, and that's all we did. That's why we was able to sweep them, man. Mm-hmm. And then that's when I think Ilgauskas was trying to be a fucking 3-point shooter. He didn't want to go to the paint. You're an all-star. Now all of a sudden you playing against Tim. You want to shoot threes and you can't shoot threes. And it was just one of the easiest championships to win, man, because it was.
They wasn't ready.
They wasn't ready. LeBron was still young. Double team LeBron. Who else is going to score on that team?
The coach is a student of pop.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want to take you back to the year before against Detroit. You mean everyone raves about the Kings-Lakers shot, but the shot you hit is it Game 5?
Yeah, Game 5.
Talk to us about that shot.
Yeah, it was. I tell people all the time is when you're playing in the San Antonio system, we got 60,000 plays. I've never been on a team with more plays than Pop.
We only run 3.
Yeah, but he's always going to do, there's going to be a pick and roll. And for me, I remember going in at halftime of that game, and I was like 0 for 6. I was 0 for, and I'm just talking to myself because I've always talked to myself when I'm fucking up. And because I think, you can say what you want to say, but you can't motivate me like me. I know what buttons to push in myself. And I remember Bruce looking at me like, oh shit, this dude crazy. And so I come out and I have a good half. And what pissed me off more is Pop didn't run not one fucking play for me. If you go back and look at every shot I took, it was either a forced shot or I created something. I'm not a creator. And that's not me. I'm a spot-up shooter, slasher, dunker, but I'm having to fucking take my own shots because he never ran a play for me. And so I'm knocking on these shots, and then at the end of the game, he's like, okay, the play was ran for Manu. It wasn't even fucking play for me. I'm inbounding the ball, and Rasheed bit, and it was it's almost like me saying, okay, I'm going to throw this at Rasheed to kind of make him do this and go with the play. So I bounce pass, which I hate fucking bounce passes. I don't bounce pass unless I really have to. I throw the bounce pass to Manu, and he kind of bites. And as soon as Manu comes back, I said, I'm shooting this bitch because I'm hotter than fish grease. And so I shoot it. And then after, I didn't realize that Tayshaun Prince almost blocked that shit.
Right there.
He almost blocked it. So for me, it was just one of those games, man, where you get hot and you just want it all the time. You want the rock. But that fucking Detroit team was a fucking beast, man.
Right.
And you talking about 4 All-Stars on one team. They played together, man. They played great defense. That was a tough series. But I will tell you, after we won Game 5, I felt like it was like a basketball guy said, oh, it's meant to be, dude. You just had one of your best games ever in the playoff game. You scored more points in the second half than you probably scored in any game. And it was just, for me, it was a great moment, especially do it on the road. It's nothing like setting crowds up. I only have 3 pictures in my house, and this is one of the pictures I have, me making this shot. And the funny thing is just to look at the reaction of the crowd because everybody knows that shit going in. You know, you got one kid like this, he knows, and everybody else like this right here. So it's just funny when
That's
you
dope.
with pictures you see and you point out stuff, and it's just a great play. And then, you know, and also I got in the corner is my dad who's watching. He's like, he has that smile and feel like,
Going
Everybody
down.
going in too. Yeah.
So yeah,
That shit's good.
Yeah.
The Detroit Pistons, the best thing that happened to them was me and Ron getting suspended. 'Cause they wouldn't have had a chance. We beat that ass when that happened. Also, quick question. What do you think about the number 1 pick? The Spurs have a number 1 pick.
I think it's going to be good for the organization because they're used to dealing with a Frenchman. You know, they deal with Tony, and I think, you know, everybody's thinking. I had so many of my friends from San Antonio text like, "We're back." I'm like, "No, you're not." I said, "Don't put that pressure on that kid. That kid needs, you know, he's going to need 4 other guys to be able to play with, and he's going to get time to learn the system." I think it's just going to be one of those things where he's going to be like a Dirk Nowitzki. Think about when Dirk Nowitzki first got in the league, everybody was like, "Oh, he's a bust." Next thing you know, he's one of the best players. It took him some time to learn the game. He had to learn the strength of the NBA, the speed of the NBA.
Yeah.
You know, people say, "Well, he's been playing professional since he was 15." It's not like he's Luka, where he's a big body, he can take that beating.
Right.
I think it's going to take him a while to take it. Like Giannis, it took Giannis a while to take that beating.
years.
Yeah, because your body hasn't matured. And you had to get to that point where you become a man because he's still a young man.
Right.
He hasn't lost a young part. He has to become a man to play in this league. And I think everybody's comparing him to the next great thing to LeBron. I'm like, dude, don't do that to him. LeBron is a unicorn for real. He's an alien, so stop comparing him.
As far as organization, family oriented, what he being taught the right way and how to be a professional,
Yes.
that's the best place to be.
Best place
to be.
That's the one thing I will say about them. I remember my daughter was sick in my last year in San Antonio, and she went in the hospital, and Pop was like, "Don't come back until she's out of the hospital." I said, "What?" I said, "Don't come back. I don't care if she's feeling good. Don't come back till she's out of the hospital." I mean, she got out of the hospital on a Monday. I was back at practice on a Wednesday. He's like, "What are you doing here?" I said, "You said don't come back." I said, "She's not out of the woods yet. Go home. Don't come back." I'm like, "Are you trying to get rid of me on the slide?" He's like, "No." I said, "You know, family is the most important thing."
To him,
And that's
for
the
sure.
one thing that, you know, you have to give it up to the Pop and the San Antonio Spurs organization. They know basketball is a business and is how we, live our lives, but that's not the most important thing. Your family is the most important thing. And for me, I'm really grateful for that because, 2 years later, I lost my daughter, but it's just one of those times that, you can't get those times back. You got to spend that time with your loved ones while you can.
Pop is big. I got a story because I want to give Pop his props. We was in Chicago, and I was on the way to the game, and at the time, my wife had just miscarried. And I was on my way to the game, but I wanted to go play. And Pop sent me, I'm talking about when I was in the locker room getting dressed, he made me put my clothes on and sent me back to the hotel and made me stay at the hotel for 2 days just to get my mind right. He didn't care about none of that shit. And it was around getting ready to go into the playoff time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's one thing I loved about Pop. They can say what he wanted as a coach and how the things he say, but he always put family before basketball.
Yeah, that's a big ups to him because he was, and after that he will always ask me, "How's your daughter? How's your daughter?" So that's important to me, man, because we love playing basketball and it's a business and we can make a shit ton of money at it. But at the end of the day, when all that's gone, all we have is our family and our loved ones, and it's just a beautiful thing when you can have a coach to make you do that.
Yeah, they care that much.
Yeah.
7 championships. Other than great players and coaches, what's the most important thing you feel like a team needs to have to win it all?
You gotta like each other. You gotta like each other, man.
Point
And
blank.
I think I've never played it like we would all go to dinners. I think even when it was with the Lakers, we weren't really a cohesive group. And one time Phil said, "All right, nobody making the plans, we all getting on the bus." Because he know when we make plans, we on the road. You get to the hotel, we got limos, we all in a limo, we gone. He said, "Nobody make plans." He made us all go to a comedy club. We went in through the back doors, probably like this, and we're like, "What the fuck we at?" Right? And then this is the first time I ever seen Fluffy. What's his name? What's the guy name? He plays. He's the comedian Fluffy. Yeah, Gabriel Iglesias. He was funny as shit. We all laughed, and then from that moment on, we started doing a lot more things as a team. And it's amazing how we become, oh yeah, we friends, we good, but we wasn't that close. And from that moment on, we became closer. And there's little things like that. I know even when I was in Houston, 8 of us would go to dinner. Dream wouldn't go to dinner, but everybody else on the team would go to dinner. And when I got to the Spurs, we would all go to dinner. And it was just one of those things that you do as a family. I remember funny thing about the Spurs was Tim went out and bought us all those little Game Boys or whatever it was, and he made it all play poker. We all play poker on the plane. Everybody had, those names, and you had to put the $100 in the pot, and everybody was like playing, like who wins, you get the money. So it was just little things like that you do as a team, and and that's one of the things as the championship teams, you gotta like one another. You gotta want to play hard for. You think we always say we're a band of brothers. If someone smacks your brother, you're gonna smack them back, right? And so you gotta get that love for one another. And if you don't have that love, if someone smacks you and you don't want to smack them back, that's no love. That's no love right there. And you gotta have it. And I know one thing that we did all have in common is we didn't ever help anybody up from another team. I don't give a damn. It was, I even told McDice when we were playing the final, I said, if I elbow you, don't be mad at me. After this, we can go out and have dinner, but on this court, you my fucking enemy.
No time.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Best team you ever played on?
It had to be the Lakers team. You think we only lost one fucking game in the playoffs.
16-1.
16-1, man. That team was freaking good. San Antonio team 2005 was pretty good too. But I just think the way Shaq and Kobe was playing, the way Rick was playing. People don't talk about Rick's defense. Rick could play some hell of defense. They're looking at, he's a pretty motherfucker. He can't play, but he had a nastiness about him that nobody could think. And so it's
Matt
just one
Fox.
I get mistaken all the time in LA for this dude. I'm like,
seriously?
really still?
Y'all
Yeah.
like nothing alike.
Nothing alike.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
alike.
But it's
maybe
just-
that
it's just-
per-
yeah.
Two
persona.
light-skinned motherfuckers with good hair that didn't take no shit.
Yeah.
Exactly. and that's the thing, man. If you think about the way Shaq played in that series, he was pissed off he didn't win the MVP again. And he was just, man, he was so fucking dominant, man. I think he averaged 35 or 36 doing that run, something crazy. So, and then Kobe was playing. Think about it. If Shaq didn't play that good, Kobe was averaging in 28 something. It was fucking ridiculous how we were rolling. And that's I talk about being pissed off when I missed that shot, but the second most I've ever been pissed off was when we lost Game 1 to Philly. As a team, we were so fucking mad. We never mentioned it about we trying to sweep everybody. We never mentioned it,
Chuck.
but we knew if we did that, we'd be considered the best team ever.
Man, Chuck was frying y'all. Didn't nothing y'all could do that game. Chuck was frying y'all.
Yeah.
Chuck was on one.
If you go back and look at that game, people don't. It was a key moment in that game. The reason we lost it. I'm running down the court, and you know how you run and you try to jump over somebody, you kind of push them out the side. Dick Bavetta calls a foul on me. And Dikembe goes and shoots the 2 free throws, sends us into overtime, and we lose that game.
Who shot the free throws?
Dikembe.
He hit both of them
Yeah,
shits?
and so it's that moment right there where, they don't get us wrong, AI was doing his thing, but still though, we should have won that game because it was almost like the NBA knew. It's like, oh, these dudes too fucking good. We gotta find a
Slow
way to
them
get a
down.
win. Yeah, but it was so disappointing as a team. And it's almost like the next practice field had to say shit to us. He saw how pissed off we were. He probably said, all right, everybody go home. Because he knew, he ain't got to coach no more because he knew we were so motivated to come out and kick ass after that. Especially think about that. Out of all the players that you've ever seen in the league, what 2 players you would never want to make bad? Kobe and Shaq. You think about that. You can make, so you make, and now you make LeBron mad. He still doesn't play like a Shaq. You make Giannis mad. He still doesn't play like a Kobe. It's the difference when you got 2 dominant guys who take your heart. And knock your ass out
kill
too.
you.
It's a difference, man.
Tell you they doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another tough one. Best player. You said obviously Dream was the best center. Was he the best player too? Best player you ever played with?
This is so hard because if you look at it as a big, it's Dream. You look at it from a guard standpoint, it's Kobe. And not knock anything off Clyde, because people sometimes forget about
Clyde was nice
Clyde.
as fun.
Clyde was Clyde, we would go to practice, Clyde be like this,
Clyde.
reading the paper, don't even warm up. And all of a sudden, all right, we running lines. That motherfucker outrunning all of us.
Yeah.
He was such a great athlete, but Kobe I think for me, Kobe's drive to be the best, his work ethic, to be in the gym working on what he could not do. I played with a lot of great players, and I've seen players who go to practice and they work on shit they're good at or they're great at. Not Kobe. Kobe said, "Oh, I already got that. I'm great at that. I'm gonna work on this. Now I'm great at that. I'm putting this up. I'm working on this." And you can't get a lot of guys to do that because I don't know if they don't have the heart, they don't have the time, they don't have the drive. But for me, Kobe is as far as his drive and his work ethic was just above and beyond everybody. And you can hear people talk about it, but when you see it, and it's always weird when you hear people talk about it who never saw it.
Right.
You saw it. You go to practice and you're like, he ain't gonna beat me today in practice. And he already does icing up because he already been sweating. And so it's just to me, Clyde was good, Dream was good, Manu was a hell of an athlete, but I think if I have to pick someone, it's gonna be Kobe.
Out of the 7 rings, which one do you identify, or do you have a favorite?
95 is my favorite, man.
First one.
9-5.
95.
Screw was jamming in Houston too. Going down in Houston, man. Going down in Houston.
Because
Over
people don't realize the run we had to make, the teams we had to beat. Karl Malone, John Stockton, Kevin Johnson, who people don't ever talk about, was a fucking beast. Kevin Johnson and Charles Barkley, then Dennis Rodman, then David Robinson, who got MVP that year, and then we went on to beat Penny and Shaq them. So that run was amazing, and to be a 6 seed and not have home court advantage is something special. Now if we'd have swept everybody, that would have been number one. But because of the journey and being a 6 seed, not having home court advantage was special.
We was popping around that day. Y'all had one. That's the y'all won a state championship. It was going down.
Was that
Big
in
time.
Houston?
Yeah. Big sir.
Hey, Papa Doe used to be jumping, boy.
Going died. I'm telling you, cornbread.
Thursday, Papa Doe's Thursday, boy, that's the
Going
best
down.
place to be.
I tell you.
All right, man. Well, quick hitters. First thing to come to mind. We're almost finished here. Let us know, okay? And I'm glad we get to ask you this question because you saw all 3: MJ, Kobe, LeBron. Where are they at in your opinion?
I think MJ is 1, Kobe is 2, and LeBron is 3. Because
Finally, someone agrees with me.
I tell people that I don't think MJ had a flaw in his game. You say people say, well, he didn't shoot threes. He could shoot threes when he wanted to shoot threes. He didn't need to shoot threes because you couldn't stop him going to the hole or pulling up on the J. And then Kobe was the same way. And I think LeBron is a fucking great player. So when you say this, people will think, oh, you smacking LeBron in the face. No, I'm not doing. He's still 1C. Kobe's 1B, and his Mike's just his first. And I know the body of work that all these guys have put in. But I just think if you say, is there a flaw in LeBron's game? Yes. Was there a flaw in Kobe's game? He couldn't play post defense. And people don't know, if I say this, people
Nah, for real. That's why Bonzi killed him.
Yeah, see, people get mad at me saying that. No, it's like, let's be honest, just watch. And like Kobe, the way he used to play him was like this. It's like, you can't play a player like this. You got to have contact. It's so many things like that.
It wasn't offensively.
Yeah, it's just so many things you talk about. And so that's why, to me, that's how you set it up. Because, those other guys got that itty bitty chink in their armor. Little bitty chink. And if you're going to, micromanage everything like we do in this world now, that's why you put MJ first.
And he got more rings than all of them. Facts.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One album you can listen to with no skips.
Man, it's going to sound paid in full, man.
Paid in full.
Paid in full,
Nice.
man, because that was my
call.
senior year in high school, and that's all I
don't
used
like
to
the
listen
gym, Bob.
to. So, paid in full was my
That's
number
dope.
one. So it's funny. I listen to that now, man. I try, you have kids, and you compare your rap to their rap, and I say,
Night and
man,
day.
look, this is the best rap album ever, right? And I show them like Paid in Full. They're like, what? Who's Rakim? Well, you know who Rakim is? I'm like, so it's just funny, man. But it's just fun.
Top 5 power forwards of all time.
Okay, top 5. I'll say Tim Duncan, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, Kevin Garnett, and then it's just Rasheed Wallace.
Sheed, man.
And I think, people don't understand how good Rasheed was.
I'm telling
It's
you.
cold.
And his ability to shoot threes, post up, You know, Rasheed had that funny back up. He'd just do like this, and then he shot it like Bill Cartwright from up here. You could never block it. But it was a lot of hell of a power force, man. You know, you call
That was the era. McDice, Webb,
Yeah, you call me next day. I put Webb on there. You know, you take Grandmama on there.
Larry Johnson.
Yeah, you so many people you can put on that list, man. But you know,
Damn, I forgot about Larry Johnson.
yeah, yeah. Until if his back would have never went out, man. Who's telling how? You know, and I can't. You know, people are saying, well, what about guys like Kevin McHale? I didn't play against Kevin McHale, so I don't know about him. You know, so I can only go against guys I played against and I seen. You know, it's just
That
to
was
me.
a hell of a list.
Yeah,
It was a hell of a list.
you know, Charles Barkley was just, you know, he don't get enough credit for how he was only, what, 6'4", 6'5".
Monster.
Just beasting everybody with his
And
size.
slapping motherfuckers, too, off the court.
Throwing motherfuckers through windows, glass plate doors. Yeah.
Who's the best basketball player in the world right now?
Jeez. The way Jimmy Butler's playing Jimmy Butler, but no, it's to me, I have to give it to the Greek Freak, man. And that's the only reason I say that, you know, if you can get this AD you playing right now, I would say AD, but it's not a consistent basis.
Facts.
And you know, if you look at the way the Greek Freak plays, you know, even though he has his flaws where he can't shoot free throws, I just like how hard he plays each and every game.
Yeah.
And his motor and his drive and his ability to get to the hole, even though it's traveled 3/4 of the time, it's just to me, I just like the way the guy plays, man.
Yeah,
you
me
know,
too.
you know, people want to say Luka, they want to say Steph, but I just think. To me, I look at if you do it on both ends of the floor. I don't give a shit if you know, if you go 12 for 21 game, but if you play hard, I'm cool with that. Yeah.
I always say, can you imagine AD with Giannis's motor?
It'll be unfair. It'd be fucking unfair.
Cheat code.
Yeah.
Best Robert Horry name drop in a song. And they were looking at to cut you. They were looking at her. They said it was like a Wikipedia page. They had to like scroll. They didn't realize how many songs you had been name dropped in.
Hey, I'm
Gang
in
of
so
songs.
many damn songs. I remember we were at a light and this dude just pulls up next to us and we just happened to have the windows down. We was in Pensacola, Florida, and the dude was playing Kevin Gates. And Kevin Gates named my name, and the dude is a white guy in a Challenger, bopping his head. And I'm sitting in the car. My ex-wife is driving, and so we sit in the car. And he's like, "Da-da-da-da, Robert Horry." And he looks at me like, and we turn left,
That's
and he
funny
goes
as
straight.
shit.
He's like, "I couldn't have been Robert Horry," but you know, my current wife hates this song. I love this song. Don't you open up that window?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Travis Scott.
Yeah, Travis Scott.
The three-peat.
Yeah, the three-peat.
I just got a three-peat.
Yeah. And my wife, every time she says, "So is there something you need to tell me?" I'm like, "No, I didn't get." But his thing is, I met Travis Scott once. You know, he was a huge Rockets fan, still is to this day. And I met him. I almost want to say, "Man, why'd you put me in that song?" And what you mean by 3P, 3 holes the other week, man? But no, it's just fun, man, when you hear like guys like, I remember we were playing New Orleans and I ran up to Lil Wayne and I said, "Dude, I'm honored, man, that you even know who I am." And he looked at me like, "Nah, dude, man, I love your game." And so for me, when I hear my names in these songs, and I think my kids are more proud of it than I am.
That's dope, man.
Because
That's a
they
badge of
get to
honor.
play it and they talk about it. And it's like my middle son is the one, he's always, you know, he's into music deeply. He sings and all this kind of stuff. He sends me every time a song comes out. It'd be an artist I've never even heard of.
Right.
"Dad, I hear your name again." He sends it to me. So
That's dope.
yeah.
Hell
We
yeah.
had Wayne here last night.
No, you did?
Like 12 hours ago. Literally just
Y'all up right now?
Nah, we didn't get out here till midnight last night.
All right. Yeah. If you could see one guest on our show, who would it be? But you have to help us get your answer on the show.
You know, I'm a huge Ludacris fan.
We just had him yesterday.
Yesterday. Right there.
What a coincidence.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And, you know, I think Southern, you know, since I'm grew up, man, I love the Southern rap. I
Yeah,
love it
me
from,
too.
you know, from Atlanta down to the bottom.
Yeah.
You know, if one guess, I think, you know, I'm sure y'all have had Snoop in here. So,
Yep.
You know who to me has been missing is I would love to have Uncle Luke in here.
Oh yeah, we need to have Uncle Luke.
You gotta have Uncle
We need
Luke.
to. I've
That's
talked
a
to him a
good
few
call.
times. Yeah, we need to have Uncle Luke.
We'll go to Uncle Luke.
Oh no, I think we need to go to Uncle Luke.
Yeah, because I remember the first time I ever met him was through Vernon Maxwell.
Mad
And of
Max.
course we had to roll up in the Rolex.
Yeah,
but it was
yeah.
it was just amazing to meet him. And that's one thing about basketball. You're allowed to meet all these people. I remember
right.
the first celebrity I ever met was MC Hammer. And this was when he was at the height.
Mm-hmm.
We watched he invited us over on New Year's to watch the Alabama-Miami game. Because me and Vernon had a $1,000 bet on that, you know, I was like, damn, I ain't got $1,000 yet, dude, but I bet this. And Alabama actually won that game. So I was like, yes! Yeah, so it was like people like that, man, being able to just sit down and talk to them and have them be fans of yours. And I remember I was standing outside of a restaurant one time and Denzel walks up to me and starts talking to me. Like, man, y'all gonna win this thing this year? I'm like, you know, all you can think about is fucking Denzel talking to me. You know, it's just amazing that they are fans of ours as we are fans of theirs. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, man, we want to thank you first before we give you your merch real quick. Got some All the Smoke merch right here. You can get that at
appreciate it, man.
allthesmoke.store. But
.store.
just outside of that, man, just really kind of want to give you your flowers, man. I think your greatness sometimes is overshadowed
Man, thank you, man.
and just limited to shots. But you were a two-way competitor, a monster on both ends, man. And we just want to let you know we appreciate you, man. And I'm glad I ran into him at the airport like a month and a half ago. I was like, bro, when you going to come on? Because we see each other a lot. I'm like, bro, when you going to come on the
But
show?
I didn't think my name was big enough to be on the
Yeah,
show. man.
right. Cut it out. Cut it out,
man.
I just feel like
Cut it out.
Hell
I'm
nah.
like I feel like I was the B team, man, trying to make varsity.
Cut it out.
Well, man,
No,
that's
but man, let me
hilarious.
say something first, man. I have my podcast, but I did my podcast because of you two guys, because your realness is what's important to me. And I really appreciate your realness, the way y'all talk about people, and y'all just keep it real. You speak from the heart. You know, you can have disagreements with people, but you said, okay, that's what's great about this country. You can have different opinions.
Where
So, man,
respect
I just
remains.
Yeah, I just said, man, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, man, and I wish y'all nothing but the best, man, because you two deserve it, man.
Appreciate it.
Two of the
Thank
greatest
you.
competitors I've ever seen on the court, especially you, man. Watching you, people don't understand, man. You know, watching this dude in high school come hang out with Sam, and I'm sitting there, who's this little dude? Oh, he gonna be pretty good, huh? And just you could see his drive, man, back then that he wanted to be in it. That's all he talked about. How do I get to the league? Y'all think you even remember that, man?
I do,
Okay.
but not just Phoenix and Houston too.
Yeah,
At
yeah.
Fundy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that when you used to be able to stand your pants up with starch when you was
Yeah,
playing on
the real starchy pants back then. Yeah, exactly. That was a Texas thing. That was a Texas thing.
That was a Texas thing.
Yeah. Well, Rob, man, we appreciate
Yeah,
you.
man,
Thank
my
you.
pleasure,
Thank you for
brother,
your
man.
time.
Thanks.
That's a wrap. 7-time champ, Robert Horry. All the Smoke on Showtime Basketball, YouTube, and the iHeart platform, Black Effects.
Big shot.
We'll see y'all next week.
Big shot. Yeah.